Hi, welcome back to Buckeye Gardener channel. Today is Monday, May 15th, I think, and it is planting day. It's finally been warm enough. We had like half-inch of rain Saturday, so the garden's a little wet. But if I don't do it today, it might not get done. It's supposed to rain tomorrow again, and it'd be good for the plants to get them in today. I got it tilled up already. Like I said, it's a little wet. I think it'll be fine. So right now, these tomato plants are 8 weeks old, and I started these from seed. I showed you videos on them, and you can see I had them in these little clear tote greenhouses outside for the last couple weeks once it finally got warm enough. And they've outgrown that tote by a ways. I haven't measured them, but they're over 20 inches tall, some of them. I got some early girls back here that had in the tote also. They're doing really good. And my peppers are nice size. They're ready to go in the ground. They're several inches tall. They're ready to go. Everything started great this year. Did really good. Everything I've transplanted already is doing good. I'll give you an update on that here when I get done. But first, I'm going to show you how I do my tomatoes and peppers. Those are the two biggest things on how to plant. And then we're going to plant corn, beans. I got some cucumbers here somewhere. And some zucchini we're going to throw in today too. And I'm going to show you how I do them on a trellis also. So come with me. I'll show you how I put these in the ground and show you how we do it here. All right, I'm gonna start with my peppers here and show you how I plant them real quick. They're pretty easy. Now, you don't wanna plant these very deep. I'm gonna show you the tomatoes here in a little bit, how I do them, and they are completely different than peppers. Peppers, you don't wanna plant them much deeper than they are now. So these are Trident Poblano peppers, and they're probably the tallest ones I've got. They're probably 10 inches tall or so. And you can see they're pretty well, almost completely root wrapped. They're ready to go in the ground. So, all I'm gonna do is dig a little hole. I dug a trench here and put some compost manure I had in bags. Put a little bit of that in here. It's kind of wet. The garden's definitely wet because the wheel hoe with the plow did not want to work very good. So all I'm gonna put in the hole, and you don't have to do this, but I do it because my soil is not the greatest here, is a little bit of, this is pelletized gypsum. All it is a little bit of calcium source. I used to get blossom end rot really bad on my peppers and tomatoes. I started using this a couple years ago and it worked wonders for me. So I'm gonna continue to use it. Like I said, you don't have to use that. You don't want to put any fertilizer in the hole with these peppers. Peppers do not really care for fertilizer. I'm just going to stir that in a little bit. Put a little bit of this compost I spread around here. You see that soil is pretty damp, but it should be all right. And that's all there is to it. Push down a little bit now. As far as fertilizer goes, you don't want hardly any fertilizer on peppers, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to put it on all of them today. I was going to do this one just to show you. But here in a couple of days, it dries up some. I'll scratch a little bit in. On my peppers and tomatoes, I do use some kind of organic fertilizer, and the only reason is it lasts longer. I put it in when I plant, especially my tomatoes, and it's more of a time delay than regular fertilizer. Now, I will give them a drink of some kind of liquid fertilizer that's ready to go. So as soon as you put them in, they'll be ready to go. These will get just a wee little drink, but the tomatoes, I'll give a good drink of it. So the only kind of fertilizer I'll put on, this is what I'm going to do for the whole season. Just a little bit, out around it a little ways. That's it. That's all that I'm going to put on my peppers all year. I might give them a little shot of weak liquid fertilizer after planting just to help the roots and stuff. This soil is pretty damp. I don't even think they need it. I'll give a little shot of tomatoes, but I don't think these need them at all. So that's it. That's going to be all the fertilizer they get all year. The tomatoes, I'll give a couple doses too. I'll show you that later on when I plant them. But that's how I do my peppers. Like I said, you don't want them very deep. I just picked that bottom leaf off to get it up a little bit. I could probably pull it out, but I'll leave it for now. And then scratch that fertilizer in a little bit. That's it. That's all there is to them. So let me show you how I do the tomatoes now. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I do my tomatoes here. I've got most of this row planted, and set the camera up here on the end to show you these ones. I got some Determinate Standard on that end, some Celebrity Plus, and then a couple other ones. This is an early girl right here. This is one I planted in a deep pot and everything. The roots had grown in that whole pot, and I've got a couple over here. It's almost got bloom starting, so they're looking real good. This is Sun Sugar. It's got some blooms on it already. You can see right there. So I'm hoping to get some early little tomatoes off of some of these. And this one here is Super Sweet 100, I think is what it was called. So we'll show you how I do these. I usually have a little more compost in this. This was the end where the bag ran out, I guess. So I lay my tomatoes on the side, and I'll tell you why. Because a couple years ago, last year specifically, I did one whole row, laid them on the side because where I was, there was some rock underneath the garden and stuff. And I thought, well, instead of digging a real deep hole, I'll do that. The other row, I dug real deep holes. We're talking 12 to 15 inches deep and planted them deep. And what happened was, the row that was deep, my soil's not real good after you get under a couple inches here in the garden. When we built my house, they leveled this all off. It was mostly clay. There's a layer of rock down there. And I think what happened was, I dug that deep and the soil wasn't very good. And I know there's rock on the edge of the garden, and that row went along the edge. I think it dried out on me. So the row that I had the other way did really good. Every plant did awesome in it. And the row that I planted really deep, I had blossom end rot on every single tomato plant. I kept them watered. I give them the calcium. I don't know if it got dry down in there or if the dirt was that bad or what. So I'm planting every one of my tomatoes on the side this year, and that's why. So what I do is, like I said, I showed you on the peppers, I use a little bit of that pelletized gypsum. I'm going to use about a cup and a half per plant. I said, you don't have to do this. This is just what I did. It helped me with my blossom end rot, so that's what I'm using. I saw a couple videos online that was talking about it, and it worked great for me, so I'm going to use that. And I'm going to put a big handful of, like I said, this is organic fertilizer. If you put that much fertilizer and laid this plant on there, it wouldn't do very good. It might not kill it, but it might. So we'll mix that up a little bit, mix a little bit of dirt back in with it. Wish I had a little more compost here, but I kind of ran out, so. And we'll put one end slightly deeper in the other end. The reason why I'm gonna lay this in here on the side and bend it up, and they'll straighten up over a couple weeks when they take off. So here's my plant. Now I'm gonna trim this up. You can see there's little suckers right there. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera, but there's little suckers in it. We're gonna cut all that off. You could do this with your fingers. You can pop them off. I'm gonna go clear up to there. So you can see all that's left is that little stem up here. We're gonna get this baby in deep. So like I said, it's Super Sweet 100. I've never grown this variety, but I'm pretty excited for it. Okay, so put a little bend in it right there. Try to backfill, get some of this compost back down in there. I don't want to use, you see I got a lot of clay in my garden here. I'm working on it. This is actually way better than it was a couple years ago right here. I've put 2 or 3 tons of good manure and stuff on this end of the garden to help with it. And it has helped. You can see when I till it how much darker it is. So we'll just put it in the ground like that. See, that's pretty wet. All right, let's plant this other one here. I'll show you again how I do it. Here's these pots. This is 2 years I've been using these cheap ones on Amazon. I just stack them up, put them in the garage, and use them again next year. See, I got some clay right there, just solid clay. But it is getting way better than it used to be. Okay. So cup and a half. Gypsum. Might got a little bit more. A good handful of this organic fertilizer. Like I said, it won't burn them like the regular. Mix that together, put some compost down in there. Clay. And give this a little trimming. This one here's got all kinds of little shoots starting off of it. All right, so I'm gonna stop. Let's go one more. We'll stop at that first fruit cluster there. Sorry, it's up by the camera, you couldn't see it there. I left that little fruit cluster on there. Get that down in. So it's off center right there, so we'll put that down so it's less of a bend for it, more gradual bend. So you get some of this compost down in there with the plant. That's a lot of clay. Well, the rest of the garden wasn't too bad. Right on this end is really, really clay. All right, and I try to pack a little bit on this back side. You see how the plant wants to lay down? So we'll put a little bit of dirt in here, push it down a little harder. I think I might have snapped my first plant off. I did that, I got a little aggressive with it. I think I snapped it off. So that's how I do my tomatoes. I got one more row of these and I'll give you a quick tour of the garden. Let you know how everything's doing this year. Like I said, my onions really took off. I'll show you that here in a minute. Okay, so I got everything in the ground for the day. I started out, I got 2 rows of peppers here. I'm not gonna go through all the varieties, but I'm just gonna show you how I've got it set up. 2 rows of peppers. I got them a little close. I planted a few too many, so we'll see how they do. 2 rows of tomatoes. The second half of this row down here will be their Determinants or Celebrity Plus. I'm gonna floor weave those. And we'll use tomato cages on all these. And I'll show you another video here in a couple weeks when I get ready to put them on, how I do that and what I do underneath them with some newspaper and grass clippings for mulch that works great. I've got 2 rows of green beans in here. On this trellis, I've got cucumbers. These are tasty green on this end. And I forget exactly what is down there. I think it's gherkin, or I want some small ones to try to pickle, like ferment pickle. I've got some zucchini on that end down there, and I'm gonna try to stake those this year to see how they do, take up a little less room and see if they last a little longer. I saved some room right in here. I'm gonna put a few okra plants I've got started in the house. And in all these rows here, you can see this is gonna be all sweet corn. I think I've got 6 or 7 rows of Honey Select Super Sweet, I think it is. And I saved room here to put my melons. I'm gonna do the fabric like I did up here with the broccoli and cabbage with the melons too, and try to keep the weeds out and see if they do a little better this year. You can see my broccoli and cabbage. My broccoli is really taking off. It is looking good. My snap peas have came up on this trellis. They're starting to get a hold of the bottom rung there, I saw. My potatoes just started coming up a couple days ago, and they're looking pretty good where they're coming up, so they ought to really take off here soon. And my onions, you see my beets on the very end down there, and my onions have really taken off. So I've tried a little bit of liquid fish fertilizer this year, and it seems to be working awesome. It's got plenty of nitrogen. I've also got some liquid AgroThrive that I had, but it seems to be doing really good. They are really taking off. A week ago, these things looked nothing like this. I can't believe what a difference it made. So that's how everything's going this year. Asparagus, I kind of let get out of control. I think I'm just gonna let it go for the year. Get some good roots going on it. But that's what I've got so far. All right, so thanks for coming with me today. I got to show you how I did all my plants. Like I said, stay tuned. I'm gonna show you how I mulch with newspaper and grass clippings, how I do my tomatoes and peppers, and it is awesome. It works great. My dad's did that for years. That's the way I do it. I'll show you how I do my cages and how I do the Florida weave on some of my tomatoes. And I'll put some mulch around my cucumbers, my zucchinis also, and then that'll be about it for the mulch. Everything just right here on this end. I won't do the green beans. I'll let them go. So, all right, thanks for watching, and see you next time.